Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spiritually Fucked podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Mulholland. Let's get into the show. Hey, ladies. Yeah. What's up, girly pops? This episode is for you. And if you're a man that's here, I give you props because maybe this will help you understand us ladies even more. So, chicas, why am I doing this show? Well, why am I doing anything anymore? That's a great question. I felt like it, and I really feel like this show is for me because I've caught myself needing to be put back in my feminine energy. And I really want to share how it's changed my life. And again, I'm doing this for me so I can remind myself how good it feels to be here because if you saw me in the last episode, to now, there's a shift. And I am having a great day today because I decided to. This episode is for the girlies, and it's all about feminine energy and radical beauty. And what even is radical beauty? Well, it's a term I just made up. It's when you take radical responsibility for how you look. I coined that term. Maybe it is out there. I don't fucking know. I know radical responsibility. I'm like so for, but the term radical beauty in my mind is the idea that you're taking radical responsibility for how you look and how you feel because it's like they're the same thing. How you feel on the inside, it's going to reflect how you feel on the outside. And just so you know, if you are on YouTube, I decided to put on the part. I put on my peacock robe and I washed my hair. So good job, Taylor. And I brought my roses in here, but you can't see them. I also had a cacao before this. I'm like really getting into it. Like I'm getting into the feminine essence right now. So I can transmute as best as possible. So I had a cacao with rose powder and some Heeyyyy and some collagen and all the goods. So we're really just nailing the hammer on the head because I've needed a hammer to my head the past few months. And yeah, we're going to get into why that happened. Anyways, that's like 3 minutes. So let's just start with the feminine energy. What even is feminine energy? And I'm going to actually read off what the internet says because I want to give you a clear description, not off of the insides of my head, but what the internet says, what the feminine is and what the feminine is not. Because I think that's really important because I found myself in the what the feminine is not. And if you know me, I'm a Taurus with Cancer rising and I'm an Aries moon. I just felt like telling you that. So, not that I apply my entire life to those aspects, but they kind of explain they're just a useful tool for how I run as a person. And I usually don't make big shifts in my life unless I am in the trenches. And that's where this idea of this podcast came from because I've been in the trenches a little bit. And I noticed as soon as I realized I was in the trenches and accepted that I was in the trenches, I was able to get out of the trenches. And it was coming from a lack of feminine embodiment. And I caught myself because, feminine is all about flow and surrender and to receive and softness. And I just found myself the opposite of that. I was very rigid and like, I just was not as connected to myself as I could be. It was reflecting to how I looked. And everything is internal, external, whatever. Like, whatever is happening externally is always just a precursor to what you can go deeper into internally. And internally, I guess I felt really low about myself. I could see myself and feel it, like having extra weight gain. And I was pissed at myself and I was like, oh my gosh, how could you let yourself go there? And then my face started breaking out. And then my face just looked like not as great as it could be. And it's because I wasn't embodied and I wasn't in my body. And once I made that shift and started doing these practices that get me embodied and make me feel my feminine, and I took radical responsibility for my beauty, I started to change. And it's like my cheekbones got higher, my waist got thinner. I swear I lost an inch off my waist within a week. I was just like, what the fuck? But you can't make it up. I've had this experience so many times and noticed the benefits from it. And that's why I want to share it with you because of the radical shifts I've had in my life. So we're gonna get into it, and I have my notes today. Clearly, I'm not reading them because I'm literally going off tangents, but I guess that's just I'm in my feminine flow in essence. But I need a little grounding, I need a little structure, so I'm gonna go back to the notes. And so, that's what I was reading. What is feminine energy? Well, the feminine, when it's embodied, it radiates. Its softness, its presence, its pleasure. It's the kind of girly who you see walk into the room and she's magnetic. And, she's wet with life. Literally, she's dripping wet in her pants. And then the wounded feminine, quote unquote wounded, which, again, I don't love labeling yourself as wounded or trauma or giving yourself these harsh labels, because on the other aspect of that, you're going to live there and it becomes a mantra. So if I kept saying, I'm wounded feminine, I'm going to live there. And so it's just rewiring in the language of it. But if you find yourself in these instances, maybe you should look into embodying feminine a little bit deeper. The woman who overgives, people pleasing, needing validation. She's using beauty as manipulation rather than expression. Because there is absolutely nothing wrong and you absolutely should express yourself. But what is the intention behind that? And intention goes for everything. But specifically when you catch yourself like seeking that validation or seeking control, like where is that coming from? Insecurity, jealousy, comparison, playing small, victim energy, lack of boundaries. And the victim card I talked about in the last podcast, and I was being a little victim lately, and that is me just not being grounded in who the fuck I am. And the physical signs is dullness in the eyes, posture caved in. Energy feels needy or drained. Not that I was needy, but I was needy for Taylor. I was needy for me. I needed to go back into my soul. I caught myself in an icky place. And when you aren't intact with that feminine essence that God gave us, and I'm clearly a feminine in this life, this is my innate nature, life is just not in flow. It's not as good as it can get. And again, I gave myself a freaking week of doing some embodiment things that I'm going to obviously tell you about because that's why the fuck I'm here. Anyways, I'm over explaining myself and I'm going to stop that. And so, ladies, if you find yourself in those spots, there's nothing wrong with you. You just need a shift and a redirect. Because again, telling yourself you're quote unquote wounded, that's the pitfall. And that's what these spiritual teachers are going to say, that you're wounded and you need to buy this course, or you're broken because of your childhood and you need to do this, you need to do that. Guys, I'm not telling you you need to do anything. I'm only inspiring you to live life as best as you can. And these are just tips and tools, which are all free, by the way, that are going to get you there. I don't ever want you to feel bad that you're not doing these things that I say or implement in your brain that you're broken. That's never the case in this. And granted, again, I'm over explaining myself, but I really just want to let you know that part of life is evolving. So if you find yourself in these icky situations, like this is your opportunity to have that radical beauty, that radical responsibility to shift and change. A dream world of mine is for everyone to just love themselves as best as they can. And I have found myself in places where I didn't love myself enough. And I actually hated the epitome of my existence. But I chose to change through force of God. God forced me to change because that's my soul mission. And I'm here to share how you can do that. Take this podcast as not, oh my God, I'm not even going to tell you how to take this podcast. Take this podcast however you want. But my intention is to inspire you to embody the best feminine essence and radical beauty as you can. Because why else would we come here? We came here to discover who we are and make the best life possible for ourselves. And that's going to radiate to others. And I'm going to go back and skim my notes because I am getting off topic again. By the way, when you are living from a feminine energy, you're going to attract things tenfold. Like, I'm telling you, shit's just going to fall into your lap because it's your lap that is attracting that. And I learned that from Kim Anami. So if you want to know how I learned these things, a lot of it has to do, again, from living in the trenches of my own womb. My soul contract had a very, very interesting and detailed growing up experience that made me have to completely shift my life radically. I had to take responsibility for it and change. And so you could say I came from wounded feminine and wounded masculine and all that. And it's true. That's what happened. And so I've had to learn from experience. And that's the best kind of teacher you're ever going to get. While also taking courses like I took Kim Anami's Well Fucked Woman course, which if you guys don't know who that is, she is a teacher. She's the real deal kind of teacher because there's no fluff. She doesn't cookie cut. And also, she doesn't give a fuck what you think. And she teaches from her own experience. And I really admire someone who does that. And I've just always resonated with what she teaches. There's vaginal kung fu, which I've done a little bit of. And then there is also sexual mastery for men. So if there is a man watching this, go get on that. And she also has a sexy mama's course, which I'll be taking when someone impregnates me. We don't know when that's going to be, but if you're out there and you're listening to this, maybe it is you, but you have to take that course first. No, you don't have to do anything in life, but I don't know. What do you want to live in your masculine essence? Like, go take the course. Okay, so you're a girl and you are seeking to live in the highest capacity of a woman you can. You want your soul to reflect externally and you want to look hot because as a girl, we all want to look and feel hot, and men are going to notice that. Men aren't going to care what your nails look like, but men are going to care what you think about your nails. So being feminine is embodying the love you have for yourself. That is going to reflect into your relationships. And Kim Anami always teaches like the girls who get the men who are truly embodying that feminine energy are wearing sweatpants and their hair tied up and they're at a gas station and they are not expecting it. They walk out and they just radiate that wet, juicy life. And men are gonna fucking geek out on that. I'm going to share with you a lot of feminine embodiment practices, but I also want to share that I understand people have day jobs and they don't have the time to dedicate their entire life to doing like fucking self-care practices, which you don't need to. Again, intention is everything. I was at a place where I needed to be meditating 2 hours a day and probably spending a lot more time on my womb than other people, but that's because I was starting from a really, really low place. And I like to go ham on those things, and I have the time for that because I created a life for that. It's about dedication and intention. So if you want the world to perceive you as a feminine, radiant goddess, you have to perceive yourself through that. So how are we going to do that? Well, it's all about going internal, literally into your vagina. It's touching yourself and loving yourself and softening and receiving. And you can't fake that. Sometimes maybe you have to fake it until you make it. And I have found myself there. And maybe right now I'm trying to fake it until I make it. You don't know. And you want to embody this quote unquote self-love. But really it's self-power. Because when you are outsourcing, there's something in you that's incomplete. But when you tap in and go internal, you start to fill those voids of completion because you find out where you can add more attention to. It's just bringing the attention back to yourself instead of letting the external environment validate you. So you're validating yourself internally. And if you are someone who is always hustling and controlling and in your masculine, these are the practices that are going to really set you up real good. Because you can't just completely change your life. I mean, there's women who have to work and have to go and be in their masculine. I don't know what that's like, but I can only imagine that when you come home, it's not going to be a flip of a switch. So having something you can come home to, literally coming home to yourself, that's going to put you back in your feminine energy because how you are is going to butterfly effect off of everyone around you. And if you are in a relationship or you are wanting to attract that divine masculine counterpart, you have to fully embody this feminine essence and being safe in your body. Embodying feeling safe in your body. Also, it's not being perfect. It's owning who you are and not waiting for someone to save you. let's get into the point of this. So, how are you going to do that? Well, the first thing is awareness, because as soon as you have awareness or you catch yourself in these quote unquote wounded places or lack of feminine essence, that's when you get to change. And this is where radical beauty comes from. If you want to radiate that internal beauty, you have to do the work. And the work is going inward. And the work is not going out and doing stuff that's going to make you look prettier on the outside. It's doing the internal work that is going to reflect that. Which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with any of that. And if it does make you feel better to go and get your hair done, which it does, I love getting my hair cut and it blow dried, then that's just one practice that puts you back in your place. Or getting your nails done. Fucking go get your nails done. But what's the intention behind that? Are you really wanting to embody this poised energy with having your nails done, or are you wanting your boyfriend to notice your nails? This is where the intention piece really plays, and people can pick up on that. You can cake your face all you want and try to cover up what's on the inside, but your true soul, your true frequency is always going to reflect. And I think it goes both ways. Like, every girl feels better when they, get their makeup done professionally and they can go out on the town and feel so good about themselves. And that can help your soul feel better. But as soon as you take that makeup off, you start to feel like shit again. Then there is some more internal work you have to do. So it goes both ways. There's not one right or wrong. But if you want to truly embody this, your core feminine essence, you have to catch yourself. When you are trying to micromanage, control the situation, when you're clinging to an outcome, oh my God, this is my pitfall. Clinging to an outcome and then trying to control the situation until it meets that outcome. And this is where I really caught myself. And I had to fucking step back and say, okay, why are you doing this? What's the intention behind this? And how are you going to soften in this situation? Instead of trying to fix it, you have to feel it, and you have to feel yourself, because anything we're attaching ourselves to externally, like an outcome, is coming from a lack from the inside. What was that lack for me? I have no fucking idea. I probably could if I sat here and thought about it, but I'm not going to. So the first thing you do is just pause. Take a second to just sit your ass down and take a breather. I talked about this in my last podcast. Just put your hands on yourself, maybe your womb or your heart, and just breathe and say, okay, wait, I'm here right now. I'm not living 10 feet above my head trying to control this outcome. You just got to pause. And then you got to regulate your nervous system. And this is something I am learning that is the key to living life, is regulating your nervous system to experiences that used to dysregulate it, or regulating your nervous system to feel safe in experiences that used to make you not feel safe. Because when you start to go out of control, it's usually because your body doesn't feel safe. And so instead of trying to control the situation to make you feel safe, which is where a lot of the quote unquote wounded feminine come from, because they try to control their boyfriend, or they try to control a job, or they try to control anything outside of themselves because they feel unsafe. And again, that's never going to happen. You're never going to be able to control someone else. So you have to regulate your nervous system. And I'm learning to regulate my nervous system in situations with men or with life. Instead of trying to avoid them completely, I'm learning to regulate my nervous system. And it's like going to the spiritual gym or the gym of life. You have to learn how to get stronger instead of avoiding, because you can't avoid things in this life. Like, this is why we came here. We came here to be humans. You have to learn how to be a human. And if you want to be a human who loves life, you have to learn how to love yourself and love what it feels like to live life. And it starts at a nervous system level. How do you calm your nervous system? Breath work. And this is something I learned when I spent 7 days at an ayahuasca retreat. Because when you're on ayahuasca, It's scary. It can get scary and shit gets out of control. And it's for your highest good. And they always say, just remember your breath. Remember your breath. Whenever it gets scary, just remember your breath. You just have to breathe and just take a moment to breathe. Okay? 4 counts in, hold 4 counts out, hold 4 counts out. I don't know. I'm not a breathwork teacher, but that works for me. And if you have time for it, go do a breathwork session. There's some really great breathwork people on YouTube. I can think of one, and it's Sandy. His name's like Sandy. A good looking dude. And then there's breathwork with Dan. He's another good looking dude. Breathwork is going to help calm your nervous system and also help release anything that's like stuck inside of you. Shaking. Have you ever seen a dog shake when it's scared? It's regulating its nervous system. That is the beauty of animals as being our best teachers. They lay in the sun because they know it's good for them. They ask for food when they're hungry because they know they need to ask for their needs. They drink water when they're thirsty, not when someone tells them to. And they shake when they're nervous because it's regulating their system and they're getting it out. And there's physical shaking. You can literally just stand up and shake your body. But there's also this exercise called TRE, and it's trauma release exercise. And you do like a few exercises in the beginning and then you let your body just shake. And when I first started doing this, I'm like, holy fuck, this feels amazing. Any plant medicine ceremony I go into or breath work, my body always starts shaking because that is just one way I release and it feels so amazing. One of my nights at Soltara when I was drinking ayahuasca, I shook for 8 hours. I laid there and my entire body was vibrating for 8 hours and it felt like 8 hour long orgasm. Like it felt so good to just let go and shake. And no one came over and tried to stop me. And that's the thing people do when their kids are shaking or they're scared is they go over and they stop them. And then that later develops you thinking that shaking is bad. And then you're just stuck with a not so happy nervous system your whole life. So embodying shaking is great. Cold showers. This I personally like. I know there's a lot of feedback now on the internet, as there is to everything, about how cold therapy is not good for you and whatever. Here's what I'm going to tell you, women, ladies, because this is the podcast for the girls. I would check in with your body, check in with yourself, and check in with your cycle of ice baths and cold showers. Because I had a huge ice bath ego because I was doing ice baths all the freaking time. And so I went to an event, and for someone who has had problems in the past with their cycle, I got my period. And getting my period these days is a fucking blessing. Not because I'm having sex all the time, but because I'm continuously working on the relationship with my womb. Because I came from the fucking trenches. Literally, the dirtiest trenches you could ever think of. That's where I came from when it comes to healing my womb. And I'm so grateful for that because I learned all these things. But anyways, I got my period that day, and then I went to an event, and they had ice baths. And you know what your girl did is she said, I'm going to do the longest ice bath out of everyone here. And I sat there for 6 minutes. I sat in a tub of ice. Literally, it was all ice pretty much with like a little water. Like a freaking defrosting chicken for 6 minutes straight, and my period left. And it left for 1.5 years. And my witch doctor was like, yeah, you can't be doing that. You shouldn't be freezing your womb when it's trying to heat up and release. And so if you're on your period or in the luteal phase, I don't think ice baths would be beneficial for you. I think maybe like a 10-second one, or if you just want to dip in, dip out. But in the beginning of your cycle, I think it's a little bit better. And I love the cold water. I swim in the creek like every day. I don't care if it's winter. It feels so good to me, but I do it in time periods that feel good. So when it's hot and sunny outside, I could sit in there for 20 minutes and feel amazing. But when it's a little cold outside, I think a 1-2 minute dip is great. Ice baths these days, like the really fucking cold ones, I'm like a 30-second girl. I'm like, this feels great. I'm not going to push myself. So just listen to your body. Don't, if something feels not right intuitively, this is where women are innately very intuitive, but really diving into your intuition detoxing your pineal gland, um, you'll start to know. So if you're completely against ice baths, let that be. I mean, try it. You want to try everything, but listen to your body. So regulating your nervous system, breath work, shaking, cold showers, dance, whatever. Dance, it's like, okay, just embodiment. Pretty much just get in your body and listen to music. Music is a frequency that's going to change your life if you learn how to utilize it. Lay on the floor with one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Just telling yourself, I am safe. And if you don't feel safe and you don't want to lie to yourself, pick up the mantra, I am learning to be safe. Because I am not someone who likes to slap a mantra over it and call it a day. I'm a realist. So using things like I am learning to be safe in my body, or I am rewiring my brain to feel safe. I like those. They feel more real to me instead of just saying, I am safe, I am safe. So you just got to work with what works for you. But it's all about rewiring, and it might not be overnight, so don't expect that. Shifting into your senses. This is a female embodiment hack. What am I feeling? What am I tasting? What am I touching? What am I smelling? And what am I hearing right now? This is going to switch you off into living 10 feet above your head, and it's going to put you in presence. Control pulls you into the future. Fear pulls you into the past because you're fearful of something happening that happened in the past or whatever. So sensual awareness around you, that's going to put you back into the present moment. It roots you in the now. It roots you in your body. And then there's physical adjustments you can use. So unclenching your jaw. The jaw and the pelvis are very highly connected. I don't know if it's through fascia or what, but even if you look at a diaphragm of your hips and your jaw, they're pretty gosh darn similar, and that's not a coincidence. So softening your jaw, even I've been doing a lot of like just massaging my jaw and really softening my neck. Like that's going to soften your womb. And if you have a tight butthole, you have a tight womb, you're going to have a tight face and you're going to look like a tight ass. It's literally where the term comes from. Soften. Soften, soften, soften. You can just physically soften, but I personally like hands-on massage. Hey, if you have a boyfriend, ask him to do it for you. Maybe he can massage your pelvis too. Relax your shoulders, your breath, and just lean back physically. And then, anchoring into yourself. Embodiment is when you actually believe how you feel. That's when it reflects out externally. So you can be saying, again, like these mantras all fucking day, but it's not going to mean shit unless you fully embody that. And it's allowing your body to say yes with what your mind is saying. It's like we have a physical, a spiritual, and a mental body, okay? You have to make sure they're all in coherence and they're all weaved together, because if one's out of whack, it's going to reflect in the other one. So it's connecting that mind and that heart. And how do we do that? Well, practice, again, like constant repetition, but also doing it when we're like touching ourselves and feeling ourselves. This is where the game shifted, is when I started touching myself and also doing like the mental work. And so meditation is great because it hits you from a subconscious level. And a lot of these programs we're running on, like the control or the fight or flight or the seeking external validation for our own worth, it can be coming from a subconscious level. So if we're consciously trying to fix it, it doesn't always work. And that's where meditation, it drops you into, I don't know, is it beta? I've been to 3 events for Joe Dispenza and I still can't fucking remember the beta, alpha. I'm pretty sure beta is like the highest one you can go to, which is like the lowest one. I don't know. Look it up. Just take my word for it. You want to do meditation because it's working at a subconscious level, or hypnotherapy. That's when you're really going to start seeing shifts in your life. And that's what happens when you do hypnotherapy, is like, I was hypnotized and my whole life changed. It's like, but I don't remember what happened. It's because they're working at a subconscious level. So you can do a lot of things consciously and it can help. But when you're addressing things from a subconscious level, that's when shit really shifts. And that's another thing I've been doing, is getting back in my meditations. Last week, I was just so sick of myself. I'm like, okay, time to go back inward. And my life has changed. The first change comes from the radical responsibility, saying, oh, no, Taylor, no more victimhood. I'm going to go full ham in this feminine embodiment. And meditation is always like my first thing that I go to. And so I started doing that and I started noticing the shifts. So those are practices you don't have to make an excuse for. Like, they're all free and they all just involve you having to do something. It's like signing up for a course that says it's going to change your life. Well, you're the only one who's going to be able to make that change because you have to physically do the work. It's like going to school. You can go to school, but you have to do the work. You have to take the test. Well, you're going to life. Fucking own up and take ownership for it, bitch. This is a podcast for the bitches. So, other practices that I love is yoni egg. Y'all, this is when you really start to lose weight. If you're a girly and you're like, I have weight gain around my waist, I swear to God, this will shut it off. My body changed within a day of doing this because I reconnected with my womb, and that's what the yoni egg does. First time I started using it, I used an unstringed one. So it was just a jade egg, and I would pop it in, and I would do this 20-minute YouTube video. Again, free. I did this for an entire year, and my life changed. I was like, oh my God. I started attracting men. My period got regulated, and my body changed. Money was just pouring in my lap. Like, it was crazy. All I was doing was taking 20 minutes every day to just really love myself and reconnect with my womb. And you guys, your womb fucking creates life. If you can birth a child in that thing, you can birth whatever you want. Like, we have so much power. We're pretty cool. We literally have a portal in between our legs, and men should be afraid of that. So when you connect to that every day, it's like you're connecting to that innate power that we have. You're embodying it at a physical level. I popped that yoni egg in, and I went to town. And now I use a stringed egg. I prefer a stringed egg because you can add weight. I use it 2 ways. I have 3 because I am a yoni egg connoisseur now. Maybe I'll get more one day. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a full carton. But so far, I have 3. I have 1 jade. It's not stringed. And then 2, I have 1 amethyst and clear fire quartz, which you can look up the benefits for those. But I just do whatever intuitively feels right. When I do Pilates, I use the unstringed one, and that's why I like doing it for like working out, is because it makes me consciously remember that it's in there and I'm squeezing my pelvic floor, and that's the point of Pilates. So when you're amplifying your practice with that thing, I mean, it's a whole thing. It's like a frequency of the stone, and it's also like a workout. But that's what I use the unstringed one for. And then the stringed ones, you can add weight, and I'm not tying a 10-pound weight to this thing. I have done that with like a 2.5 pound, and it works. You really go into the gym when you're using that weight, but you just pull it with your hand, and it's like I'm not going to tell you what to do because I'm not a yoni egg teacher, but you like squeeze your vagina and you pull the string out, and it's like an added weight. And guys, it takes 10-20 minutes every day. Anyone can do that. I bet you scroll on Instagram longer than that. Have you ever thought of that? And when you're doing these practices, you're not going to be on Instagram. How dare you? How dare you neglect yourself? You're going to be present. And I just do it in silence, or I put on a fun little playlist. I like just like chill stuff for this. You can put on a sexy playlist. I don't know any sexy music that's not programmed by the hip-hop industry. Okay, so what else? The yoni egg. Oh, breast massage. This is my favorite. This is the easiest thing you can possibly do, is touch your boobs. Like, seriously. I have Kim Anami's breast oil, and then I have Living Libations breast oil. I love them both. Do whatever you want. You can use olive oil or coconut oil. My favorite thing right now is olive oil that I prayed over. I just get regular olive oil. I pray Psalm 23 on it. So I'm literally massaging this frequency of protection and God into my breasts. Like, are you kidding me? Like, sign me up for that. And this is how your boobs are going to grow. And this is where the radical beauty really shines through, is because you're taking ownership for your body, and it's going to become more bodacious, and your boobs are going to get bigger because you're loving them and you're physically manipulating them, and it adds circulation, and like there's physical benefits and then there's the spiritual benefits, but it's all going to reflect, and magnetize. And for someone who's got a pretty small chest, these little things really help. And I've had people say, hey, your boobs are looking a little perkier. And I say, thanks. I'm putting in the work. So these are just a few things. If you are wanting a tiny waist and big boobs, you're going to want to get a yoni egg and start doing breast massage. 20 minutes a day. Literally 10 yoni, 10 boobs. That's all you need. Watch your life change. So let's just go over what we've talked about. You are feeling a little low about yourself and you want to feel beautiful. Well, you have to have awareness that that is happening in your head, and you get to shift. And how are we going to shift? Well, we're going to start breathing. We're going to start becoming present. We're going to take a pause on the external validations. So maybe take a break from social media. Maybe take a break from the dating apps. Maybe just take a break from trying to expose and express yourself. Obviously, express yourself to your deepest desires. But at times like these, maybe just take a pause and go internal. And then you're going to add in stuff. So it's kind of like taking awareness of your life, seeing where you can change and kind of let go of a few things, and then replacing them with good things. And once you start replacing them with good things, that's when those other things that aren't that important or aren't adding value to your life are going to drift away. And those things can be, the breath work, the meditation, the yoni egg, the breast massage. Those are just really easy things. And there's other things you can do that you do every day that you can just enhance. When you're brushing your teeth in the morning, just stare at yourself. Stare at yourself and just say, I'm doing this because I love myself. I want a clean mouth. Oh, I love my eyes. I love my eyebrows. I love my hair today. Just really connect with yourself. You can do eye gazing in the mirror. I actually don't have a lot of experience with that, so that's why I didn't really bring it up, but I know it has helped a lot of people. Just sitting and staring at yourself in the mirror, that's can be life-changing, supposedly. I just haven't had that huge breakthrough with it yet. Or every time you wash your hands, look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself something. I am safe to feel, I am learning to feel safe in my body every day. I'm washing my hands because I love myself. I'm taking care of myself. It's clocking in those moments that are slowly going to rewire your brain. Again, there's nothing wrong with you, but there are ways that you can shift into being a better person, and these tiny little things are going to add up and completely shift your life. And that's what this is about. You don't need to go to a feminine retreat and pay $5,000 and travel to be feminine. You do these tiny little macro moments every day, and your life is going to completely shift. And that's what's happened, and here I am to prove it, because I haven't killed myself yet. Anyways, so if you've got that awareness, this is your time where you get to change. And the changing part is the fun part, because it's like, I feel like I've been high as a kite lately because I remembered that I have complete control of my life. And if you are someone who is a control freak, or you tried to control situations and then you completely reshift it and you realize you have complete control over yourself, oh my God, that's such a powerful mindset shift that is going to take you into your life, and it's going to change because you realize you have full control over yourself. So whatever happens around you, you're going to deal with it because you know how to control yourself. But the only way you're going to know how to control yourself is if you keep connecting with yourself and embodying that presence. So having your anchors. Here's another tip, Chiquitas, is know your anchors. And I made a post about this yesterday because, again, this life is a learning journey, and I keep catching myself in instances where I need to make a shift. And those shifts typically are rooted through anchors. And some of my anchors are music, creativity, writing, running, something that puts me in the present moment. Sitting down on the piano, I'm going to play my music, and I'm going to forget about everything around me, and I'm going to be present. Granted, there's other healing properties in music that are changing my life, but it's the fact that I'm sitting down and I'm present with nothing else but myself. Running. I love running. I forget how much I love running because I pulled my back the day I ran like 5.5 miles, which it had nothing really to do with that. but it's taken me a while to get back into running again with that mindset shift. So yesterday when I decided to run, I was reminding myself that it is safe to run and calming my nervous system while I'm running. And it just puts you back in your body. It gets your heart rate up. There's so many good benefits to it. And that's one of my anchors. Another thing is writing. I do this every day. If you don't have a developed writing practice, I highly recommend this is the first thing you start, because you'll start to uncover the trenches and you'll start cleaning out the closet of your mind, and you'll start to realize a lot of the things that you're thinking constantly are not yours. They were never yours. They could have been generational or past life, or just programs you've been running on that simply are not your soul. And if you need help acknowledging these or realizing or seeing what these things are in you, that's when intuitive mentorship is great, because you can have someone mirror these things back for you. If only you knew someone who did that. Darn. Oh, wait, it's me. I do that. So if you do need extra support and just seeing what you can change in your life, I am someone who can do that for you. Or find someone else you trust. Like, I'm not going to tell you that you're broken and that you need me, but I am going to see things in you that I've probably seen in myself, and I was able to come over, or I was able to fix. And that's where relationships come in. Relationships are going to be your biggest teacher. So avoiding them, if you are actively avoiding a relationship, there's something that you are actively avoiding in yourself. And trust me, I've been there. I've been single for God knows how long, but I do have amazing, beautiful friendships that I can have that raw, reflective relationship with. But when you get into a romantic relationship, that's when the real reflections happen. And you could think you're 100% healed, and that 100% in a relationship is going to be like 10%. So working on yourself, if you do desire a relationship, working on yourself and your divine feminine is going to attract that divine masculine. And here's another thing is, why are you working on your feminine? Are you doing it solely to attract that masculine? Because that is another thing, is you're still doing it for external validation. And trust me, I've been there before. Oh, I'm going to work on myself and I'm going to make myself better so I can attract a man. That's still doing it for the wrong reasons. It's a constant practice. Not that it's wrong. It might put you on the path of healing yourself or stepping into your feminine essence, your radical beauty. But why are you really doing it? The intention is everything. So my intention, if you care, is I'm doing this so I can live in my soul mission. I'm constantly doing the work every single day so I can live in my soul mission, so I can share it with the world. Because why else would I be here? Why else would I sign up for the things that I've experienced if I'm not meant to share it and help others? That's where I'm at. So what is the reason for you? Do you want to be this beautiful, feminine, radiant goddess because you want to be a beautiful, feminine, radiant mother? That's a beautiful reason to do all this work, is because you are not only doing it for you, but you're doing it for others. And the secret in living is giving. I believe we come here to obviously enhance ourselves, become the best version if we can, but also to give to others. And so if I can be in my best feminine radiant essence as I was designed to, then I can inspire others to do the same, and I can give myself fully. Because that's another thing, is like, women want to give. It's our innate desire. But why are you doing that? Are you doing it from a full cup because you're giving yourself enough that you can give to others? Or is it coming from a place where you're giving so you can get? Or you're giving because you need someone else to validate that worthiness for you. And again, there's no right or wrong. It's just, where are you coming from? If you're a woman, God made you a woman because he wants you to be the best woman you can be. And to be that best woman you can be is to know that you are designed for that. You are absolutely designed to embody this softness, this essence that is magnetizing, so you can take care of others, so you can hold children in your womb. You were destined for that. You don't need anything external. You don't need, you don't need bioidentical hormones to make you feel beautiful. You don't need anything outside of yourself to make you feel like the beautiful, radiant goddess you were destined to be. We get to experience those things. We get to put on beautiful dresses. We get to get our nails done. We get to put on makeup, and we get to wear, fun robes. But we don't have to do that to feel worthy. So I'm going to wrap this up because my iPad's dying. And that's the life I chose, I guess. So if you catch yourself with a stick up your ass, that's your moment you get to change and start to soften. Start with your body, start with your breath, start with the little things, and then you can go deeper. You can get the yoni egg, you can do the breast massage. Those are just easy things you can add. And watch your life change. Actually, I'm not going to promise you anything. I want you to figure it out for yourself. I'm just sharing what I have experienced, and you go figure it out by yourself, because that's where we really learn. We don't learn from, we learn from people telling us things, but we learn from experience. And that is how I learned, is through experience. And my experience this past week was the reintroductory to the next level of life I'm living. I'm meant to continue to evolve. I'm evolving very rapidly right now because the planets are initiating me in that. So if you do want to dive deeper into, feminine energy and essence, I totally recommend Kim Anami. She's great. But go into yourself. Literally. Put your fingers in your vagina. That's where you're going to learn. That's where you're going to feel everything that you've been not feeling for a long time. And that's what I learned. And just start small. Start with a little meditation. I like to go ham when it comes to these things, so maybe I'll inspire you to go ham, and maybe this could, I don't know, are you a competitive person? Do you want to make this a competition? Who can be the most feminine? If that's what gets you, then go for it. And if you're here with me on the 7th episode, I adore you. Thank you so much. This is exciting. I'm getting more and more excited to do these. If you can't tell, okay. I'm not trying to over-explain myself again, but I'm still figuring things out. Clearly in the beginning, I have these notes and then I ramble and then I kind of get into this flow, but whatever. If you're here, then you clearly love it. And I adore you. And thank you so much for being here. I hope to inspire you to live a great life. If I could end this with anything for you to remember, it's that you chose exactly who you're supposed to be in this life. So how you look, from every cell in your body down to your pinky toe, you chose that. Therefore, you get to have radical responsibility for how you embody that. How you show up in this world, you chose it all, baby. So if there's something that you don't like about yourself, just remember that you chose this body. You chose that aspect about yourself. So it is absolutely perfect for who you are in this life. How can you embody perfection with your full body? As soon as you realize that, you'll be able to accept yourself fully. Because you knew what you were coming down here for, and you signed up for everything in this life. So how can you take full responsibility? And if there's something you don't like, you get to change it. We're humans, we have free will. That's the gift of this life. So embody it, embrace it, love yourself because you chose yourself. And again, I'm preaching to the choir. If you can love God, you can love yourself. So I'm just going to leave it there. Oh, and find your anchors, people. Am I one of your anchors? I'd be honored. I'd be so wet if I was one of your anchors. My feminine would be beaming. Okay, I'm going to stop now. Okay, go magnetize lives. Go touch yourself. Go get a yoni egg. In my name. You can name it Taylor. I will allow for that. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.